Tremendous to be here. It's tremendous to be here, and I give you greetings from the Campaign for Socialism in Scotland. It's a sister organisation, and it's an organisation that's been on the go in Scotland since Clause 4, since the Clause 4 time. And like some of the speakers have mentioned, there's been some very grim times for the left in Scotland over that period. And I want to pay tribute to people like Vince Mills and Pauline Bryan and Elaine Smith and others who have kept that organisation going, and it's now flourishing in Scotland because they stuck with it, they kept it going, and I'm very proud of it. What a week we've had here. What a buzz around the place. I think it's like the Edinburgh Festival has turned up. Because that is genuinely what it feels like. That buzz, that optimism, people enjoying themselves, discussing politics, going to events. There's just so much on. It's actually, at times, overwhelming. There's just so much happening. And you have had the honour tonight, I have to say, Chris is gone, but you don't realise this. You have had the honour to have been listening to two bricklayers tonight, the artisans of the construction industry. Chris is one and so am I, so cherish the moment, will you? Can I also say, I would love to be a fly on the wall at Progress Towers on next week. Can you imagine the board meeting? I think there's maybe a few people getting the Alan Sugar "you're fired" because they must be spinning at what they have seen here this week. In terms of Scotland, the reports that I have given over the years at this meeting have been pretty grim from Scotland. It's been the toughest of the tough times. 2011, the year I was elected to the Scottish Parliament, my joke is the election result was so bad I was elected. And I say that, tell you that joke to make for a purpose, because the electoral system we have in Scotland is you have first past the post, yes, but you have a top-up system from the list. And I was third place on the list in my area. I only got into Parliament because we lost almost all the constituency seats. It should never have happened. So the result was so bad that I was elected. Yeah. And we should never have been in that position. But we were, and we got ourselves into real difficulties. I also like to say I was the chair twice of Jeremy's campaign in Scotland. And when we started that campaign, our ambition in Scotland, let me be frank amongst friends, was not to be last. Well, we weren't last there. We weren't last. And when I spoke to my colleagues in Parliament, they would jokingly, "Oh, you'll be supporting Corbyn." I said, "I'm chairing his campaign," and they would laugh. But we had the last day. And when it came to the election, again, I think we have to be honest with each other. Those first few weeks knocking doors, we still got questions about Jeremy's leadership. It's not right, he's not the right person, look at all the turmoil in the party. But once we launched that manifesto, that melted away. The manifesto launch looked fantastic. It looked great, it looked young, it looked vibrant, it had a buzz. And the Tory manifesto launch looked as though it took place in an abandoned bus garage. With someone who was terrified of the voters. Terrified of the voters. And as that question about leadership went away, we started to make progress. To such an extent that in the Scottish Party, we were very pessimistic about our opportunities to make progress. But we did make progress. So we now have, instead of just one seat, we won 7 seats. Yeah. And we have a postal. We have a postman representing Coatbridge. We have someone who worked for Shelter representing Midlothian, a head teacher in East Lothian, and a shipyard worker in Glasgow, and 2 councillors. And that's the kind of diversity we should have in parliamentary groupings. We also have around 12 seats that have a majority of around 1,000 or less. The lowest one is 65. Scotland has some of the most marginal seats now, and a large number of them. And they're going to be critical to any future election. But you know what? We still lost. It doesn't feel like it, but we still lost. And we have to face up to that loss, because next time we're going to win. And we have to win. Now, we had a fringe meeting yesterday from one of the polling companies that told us that in Scotland, a 5% swing, now given we were at rock bottom, another 5% swing on top of what we achieved would give us another 28 seats in Scotland. A 3% swing the other way would take us back to 1. That is the margins of where we are in Scotland. So it's critical that that we get our act together and act together very quickly, and we are determined to win the next time. This week, I'm here to do one thing. I'm not here to do anything else than flog my book, right? That's what I'm here for. And it's called Socialism Hope, A Journey Through Turbulent Times. And by God, in Scotland, we've had turbulent times. It's been torture at times. And I have been telling my colleagues in England and Wales that the reason I wrote this book is a diary of my 6 years in Parliament and what I've been involved in. And it takes us through the 2014 independence referendum. I spoke at 65 public meetings during that time, all of the ups and downs of that referendum, the post-referendum disaster that was for Labour. And then I ended up, God knows how, but I ended up, a bit like Jeremy, how he ended up standing for leader. I stood for leader in Scotland. And this is the point I want to tell people here, because I don't think anyone in this room will have considered this. I stood against Jim Murphy for leader in Scotland, and I did not want to stand. I did not, but I had a duty to stand. Someone from the left had a duty to stand this time, and basically, when the past the parcel music stopped, it was Jim. It was from pass the parcel for me. But what was happening at that time in Scotland, post-referendum, the polarisation of politics between two nationalisms, Union Jack, unionism on one side and Braveheart nationalism on the other, and Labour stuck in the middle, not knowing where to go. When I stood, I genuinely believe that whoever won that election, and I would have done it as well, I would have taken Labour to its biggest defeat in Scotland in our history. Keir Hardie would have taken us to our biggest defeat in our history because of what was happening in that post-referendum period. The fact that it was Jim Murphy that took us to our biggest defeat in history, well, I'll come to that. Because let me tell you this, had I taken us to that defeat, I tell you now, you would not have had Jeremy Corbyn as leader. We would not have had this conference. We would not have had For the Many. We would not have had the election result. Why? Because the people on the right of the party would have said, that's what happens when you elect a left-winger. Jeremy, get back in your box. That's what would happen. And I would ask you to think about that, because that is the reality of what would have happened. No matter who was leading us at that time, okay, I would have made different decisions. The defeat might not have been as bad. It would have been huge still. So, what happened in that election in Scotland, I think, had massive ramifications for what came afterwards and for what we have now. I was delighted to be defeated in that election. I tell you that now. At one point during it, Tommy, who works for me, came into the office and said, you need to sit down. We've got the canvas returns for the phone canvassing. I think you're going to win. And my heart sunk. I did. I said, but it cannot happen. Because I knew what the consequences were going to be. So, I would ask you, why win? I am taking no money from this. Anything I get from it is going to good causes, and I'll decide what those good causes are. I've sold lots this week. There's a great picture for the rally at Jeremy's launch in Scotland, which was just the best political event we've had in Scotland for decades. It was rocking. And we're now in a position where we're starting to get our mojo back in Scotland. but we have a Labour leadership contest, a Get the Light Labour leadership contest in Scotland. We've got one going on now. And then Richard Leonard, who's the candidate of the left, a consistent socialist, all his life worked in the trade union movement, has Labour values through and through. If Richard is elected, then the Scottish Party will be much more in line with the Corbyn project. So we need your help. We need your help. Some of my colleagues have been telling me this week, I've got an English accent, I don't want to help. Bollocks to that, forget all that. We don't care. We need your help. So we can get you phone banking. We can get you doing social media. You can help. Go and register at the website. I think it's Richard for Real Change. You'll find it. Just you'll go and find it. Register and we will be in touch. We're running a fantastic campaign. He is head and shoulders above his opponent, but his opponent is extremely wealthy and they can turn on the cash like that. And that is the danger. So please help us. This is our moment in Scotland to do what we've done across the UK. And it's vital for things like the NEC. Critical. It was a one-vote situation, and Kezia Dugdale resigned, and Alec Rowley came in, and Alec started to vote in the right way. If we get Richard in, the NEC dynamic changes. So you might think I don't give a toss about what happens in Scotland. You have to give a toss what happens in Scotland in this election. Help us. Help us get Richard elected. Help us get back in Scotland. Help us align with the project that we're on, and let's go forward. Thank you very much.